Welcome everyone. Can everyone hear me in the back? Everyone here? Yes. Welcome everyone. I want to thank first and foremost El Camino Real Charter High School for hosting us here today. I want to thank the Cool to Be Kind club here on the school, a fantastic student group here at El Camino Real Charter High School that is working every day to create not only a kinder and more caring community within their campus, but one that is more tolerant and that speaks out against acts of violence that we saw in the case what happened to Jordan. And they'll be speaking a little bit later. I want to thank Ed and Jordan Peisner for being here today. I wish it was under a different circumstance from what happened about 3 months ago. But we're really here to discuss Jordan's journey and really to talk about how this experience has changed Jordan, changed Ed, and really now their passion to make sure that this type of incident doesn't happen to any more families here in the Valley or across our state. And I look forward to everyone hearing from Jordan and Ed today. Also want to thank my good friend and colleague, our newest state senator, Henry Stern, who represents the West San Fernando Valley and parts of Ventura County. He's also a co-author of this bill, and I look forward to his help to make sure we get this to the governor's desk. But just to reiterate for those that don't know, this past December, Jordan Peisner was innocently eating at a local Wendy's just a few blocks from here. He was with a group of friends. These kids could have been our neighbors, they could have been our kids, they could have been any of the students at this school. They were just there enjoying some of their off time. I've been to that Wendy's. It was in a basic neighborhood. And unfortunately, that neighborhood is not an area where you think if you dropped your kids off or they were walking down the street, they would be viciously attacked. Unfortunately, Jordan was viciously attacked. He was left with a blood clot in his brain. He has permanent hearing loss. He's had 3 months of recovery and is still not back in school. What makes this even more horrific, Jordan didn't know his attacker. He'd never met the perpetrator of this crime. But this attacker decided to attack Jordan and cause such damage for social media infamy. He conspired with a friend. They decided to attack Jordan randomly and tape it to put on social media to see how many likes and hits they could get. When I first saw this story on the news, as an uncle, as someone that works around young people all the time, it was really heartbreaking. It really made you fearful of what kind of community we're living in. It made you fearful of where can my nieces and nephews go without supervision. And I really thought about, as someone that really cares about our community, what can we do to stop this? I was quickly inspired, though, after meeting Ed Peisner right after the attack. I'm not a parent, and I can't imagine what it must have been like to get that kind of phone call to say that your child is rushing into surgery and has a severe brain injury. And when you find out that the attack was so random, and simply to allow other young people to get notoriety. But Ed wasn't angry. He wasn't just fearful. He didn't want revenge. He wanted action. From day one that I met Ed, and ever since, his number one goal has been, let's not let another family get the call I got. Let's not let another young person be victimized like Jordan. So my office started looking into what we could do as his state assembly member. And we started talking to other people. What we found out is this is not an isolated incident. Throughout our community and across our country, we've seen a very dramatic uptick in these type of cases. Recently, we all were horrified to see in Chicago, local gang members Facebook Live a beating of a student with disabilities. And throughout our newspapers and TV local newscasts, we've seen a number of cases of horrifying attacks put on social media. The victims differ in age and socioeconomic status, and they're from very different communities. But the one clear indicator is they are targeted for arbitrary reasons to make other people have an opportunity to post these videos for some nefarious reason. But the one thing that I will tell you after seeing all these cases is that we have to catch up with the technology. We have to make sure that our law enforcement, our prosecutors, our police officers have new and updated tools in our law to not only discourage future attacks, but to fully punish all of those involved in these attacks. And that is why, to make sure we have no future victims like Jordan, and to take his inspiring work and the inspiring work of his father Ed That is why myself and my colleague have introduced Jordans Law. This law will criminalize conspiracy with an attacker to videotape a commission of a violent crime. While in most of these cases, the videotaper is not conspiring to actually commit the attack, they are conspiring to tape it and to upload it onto social media, and that is wrong. To me, this is no different than someone driving a getaway car in a bank robbery. We must provide not only more disincentive to make sure people do not commit these crimes, but we must make sure we provide the accurate punishment to reflect the nature of the suffering. When you think about how unfair it is that Jordan is still struggling with the effects of that attack, that the assailant, the person that conspired to commit this crime, to film it and put it online, cannot be charged. Jordan's Law will not only serve as a deterrent for social media motivated attacks, but will also help our community and committed activists like Ed and Jordan spread the message in our schools that this behavior is not tolerable and will be punished. And let me be clear about what Jordan's Law does not do. It will not stop news organizations from filming and reporting on attacks they witness. It will not stop Good Samaritans from collecting evidence against people when they witness crimes, and it will not affect bystanders who decide they want to film an attack or another newsworthy story. It will also not affect free speech. My office is already in discussions with civil rights groups and I remain committed in working with any group that wants to work with me on this project. We encourage local activism. We encourage local involvement. We want to make sure every voice in this process is heard. And I really do take the First Amendment provisions that we all cherish very seriously, especially in our current climate, and want to make sure that this bill does not encroach on anyone's First Amendment protections. But because of this, Jordan's Law will make sure that we don't have to do future press conferences or read future news stories about attacks of our local young people or seniors or disabled students or anyone that's going about their business who could be viciously attacked for the purpose of putting on social media. Like I said to begin, Jordan could have been anyone's son. He could have been anyone's neighbor. He could have been anyone's student. We're here at his classroom, or his school, where he has not been in a classroom in several months because of this attack. The time to act is now. I look forward to working, like I said, with local law enforcement and other community groups to make sure that we get this bill passed. I want to thank Jordan and Ed for being here again today, and I'd like to now introduce, to say a few words, my colleague who will be co-authoring this bill in the State Senate, Henry Stern. But I'll leave you with this. When you think about this attack and the nature of it, the one thing that I've realized in government is this, that our laws, unfortunately, do not always catch up to the technology that we use every day. This is not an isolated incident. Jordan's case is not a one-of-a-kind attack. We have, obviously, an epidemic of bullying we've seen for years now. We have to do more, though, to make sure that young people are not only encouraged and understand the consequences to their actions, but that those consequences lead to severe punishment when actions take into effect what happened to Jordan. So with that, I'd like to ask Henry Stern to say a few words, and appreciate everyone being here today.
Thank you, Assembly Member, and thanks for everyone coming out. Mostly thank you to Jordan for having the courage to stand up here and take a stand. I think this is the moment. And for all you folks who are involved with C2BK and all the El Camino High kids who are stepping up in this community and saying, no, this is the time. This is the time. Because what we've done is we've turned that VX1000 camera that you see on Jordan's hat, unfortunately it's been turned into a weapon. And that's what we saw with this knockout club on World Star Hip Hop. And we've seen it proliferating far too often on the internet. And we have to be clear that the internet and a film camera can be a tool of tremendous good. And we can do powerful things even today as we stream this on Facebook. It can be turned into a tool of good, but it can also be used for evil. And we need to end this scourge in our society. And I really want to congratulate and stand firmly behind the Assembly Member for having the guts to step up today. And as a young person, right, we're both millennials in the legislature here, to say not all technology is good. And when we use it for these ends, it can do incredible harm, not just to one person, but to an entire community. So Jordan, we got your back. Ed, we're going to be there with you. And we're going to get this thing in the governor's desk. So thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Senator Stern, for a great partner in this. Now I'd like to bring up really the person that deserves the most credit for why we're here today. Ed Peisner has been a great partner in this pursuit. I am still amazed at his passion to do something to make sure that no other parent in our community gets that same phone call. His activism has led to thousands of people throughout our community being engaged in this effort. So Ed, will you please come up, and Jordan, if you'd like to join, we'd love to have you both say a few words.
Great. I brought 10 pages here. Sorry. I'm sure by now everybody's heard the story about Jordan. A little over, like Assemblyman DeBaby said a few months ago, Jordan was attacked while walking out of Wendy's. He suffered a traumatic brain injury, fractured skull, ruptured eardrum, and future unknown problems that hurt me, hurt his mom, and hurt him. Listen, I know social media for all the kids. I know it's here to stay, and there's nothing we can do about that. But I also know that social media is not bad, okay? And I've used it, obviously. I've reached out to thousands of people all over the country, and they're reaching out to me. But as you said, recording violence and sharing it has to stop. And that's why I'm standing here today. It's a new frontier, and there needs to be accountability for everybody, not just the kids, but the parents and everybody. One of the saddest parts of social media is something I really had no knowledge of just a few months ago, and that's cyberbullying, which I consider what happened at Jordan cyberbullying. With one post, you could ruin someone's life. And I know you might think I'm being dramatic, but I've read many stories of people, kids, taking their own lives due to cyberbullying. So one story is too many stories, period. I have received hundreds of emails and support about this movement and sharing our petition, which we have over, I think, 1,500 signatures on already. And which is why I created jordansdrawing.org, where people could go and they could see our petition, they could see other anti-bullying websites that we've now joined with. And really, I brought 5 or 6. When you sign our petition, it says, why are you signing? And I want to just print out a couple and read them to you, why people are signing our petition. This is from Malibu, California. I'm signing because social media should be a safe place to socialize and to make friends. Not a tool to glorify violence or to bully people. Fallbrook, California. It's insane that in this day and age, we're allowing violence like this to happen without any consequences. Topanga, California. I have zero tolerance for senseless violence. Jordans Law is completely necessary and obviously way overdue. Please share to raise awareness and demand that this abuse will not go unanswered. Stuttgart, Germany. Together we can make a change. I'm a survivor of cyberbullying and stalking. Fort Bliss, Texas. For Jordan and for all who need to be heard, bullying must stop. Miami Beach, Florida. I feel so strongly against bullying, and it seems I'm hearing more about it. It seems I'm hearing about it more frequently than ever. Grays Lake, Illinois. I'm signing because I think it's ridiculous that this is the route that kids and social media take. Kids need to learn to work together, not to bully one another, and to the point of no return. Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I agree cyberbullying should be a crime. Australia. My heart hurts for what happened in Jordan, and something dramatically needs to change to prevent such ugly and appalling behavior from ever happening again. For anyone to think that this level of violence is acceptable, let alone sharing such a thing for entertainment purposes, is completely and utterly sick and very unsettling. And why do they possibly think it's okay? Because there's no consequences to their actions. Tougher laws and penalties need to apply to all forms of bullying. We need to protect our loved ones. Tustin, California. I'm signing because I was a victim of bullying back in the days before video capture. I'm signing because I'm a mother of a 2-year-old son, and I want to do anything and everything I can to protect him from any and all evil and horrific crimes. This is a no-brainer law that needs to be put in place right away. And my favorite, from San Diego, California, I have zero tolerance for bullying, and this is a step in the right direction, to raise awareness and demand accountability. This aggression will not stand. That was Tony Hawk, the skater. So I'm here today. I'm so happy to be here today, unfortunately for a bad reason, but I want to turn a mess into a message and do something and help all you kids out there. So thank you both. And cool to be kind. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. Thanks. Jordan, want to say a few words?
I just want to say, thank you, because obviously I've been through a lot, and I just want to say thank you to everyone, cool to be kind, and Assemblymen, you guys have really helped me, because it's been a hard time in my life, and everything kind of flipped when this happened, so just thank you for passing this.
Thank you. Jordan, thank you for your leadership in this, and I will tell you, this story is heartbreaking and it's tragic, and it's really gut-wrenching as it's been, and to anyone that's seen that video and who doesn't shed a tear, I don't know how. I don't have kids, but I will tell you, I looked at them and thought about my nieces and my nephews, but to see how you and your father have turned this incident into an inspiring movement to make sure that other young people, other parents, don't suffer the way you did is something that is truly commendable, and that's why I'm looking forward to making sure with my colleagues that we're able to pass Jordans Law to make sure that everyone in our community knows that it is not acceptable to conspire to commit a crime and post it on social media. It's not acceptable to attack individuals in our community for no other reason than to post on social media. And like Ed said, we're going to turn this unfortunate situation, this tragedy, into an opportunity to affect our community in a positive way. So really the credit goes to you and your father and to all of those that have been activists and all the supporters in this room. And I really do applaud all the young people in the C2BK Club to make sure that they're keeping this campus a positive place for everyone. So with that, we'd be happy to take a few questions from the press. And once again, thank you all for being here.
How can this law have teeth? How are you going to be able to determine, how will law enforcement be able to determine who's actually co-conspiring with someone in an attack and videotaping it versus a person who's just standing there and happens to be shooting it? The co-conspirator with video, with a cell phone can lie and say, hey, I was just shooting it. That's a tough one.
It's a very tough line, and I compare it to this. We've looked at this very specifically in our laws, and we don't want to encroach on anyone's free speech, but there's a number of instances where we know that the people that are involved in that beating that happened in Chicago, that disabled student, they Facebook Lived it. That wasn't by incident or accident. They did that on purpose. We know that the attack on Jordan happened among two friends, I believe it was a boyfriend-girlfriend, that had conspired together to do this crime to put on social media. So we have to be able to make sure that our law enforcement has the tools when they can prove there is a conspiracy, when they can prove that there had been a premeditated attack that was going to be taped. It's very hard to always approve what nature of a crime takes place and who's involved. We have that and other issues within our law. But it's very clear that in a case where someone has been taping something because they're an innocent bystander or it's someone that was just a witness to something, we don't want to curtail that. We want to make sure people have the ability to witness and record crimes that they feel are going to be beneficial to turn that over to law enforcement. But we know that in these cases there's been a clear line that's been crossed and there's been a conspiracy and there's been collusion between the perpetrator and the person taping it. And that's where this law will differentiate.
And coming up with this, did you have the assistance of attorneys who can help?
Well, my colleague's an attorney, a very good attorney.
Maybe he needs to be at the microphone.
Well, we will, and we have other attorneys here, but we've been working with the DA's office, we're working with local law enforcement, working with a number of other groups. We'll be working with the ACLU. There are groups that have concerns. We want to hear those concerns. We want to work with those concerns. But yes, everything goes through lawyers and everything goes through the legal process, and we'll have committee hearings. So I'll ask my colleague to say a few words.
Okay, sir, from a legal perspective,
Yes.
as best you can,
Yes.
can you tell us how do we prevent from blurring the line?
Yeah, it's intent. That's what a jury's job is to decide, is to distinguish between intent. And the case that the assembly members talking about where you have an innocent bystander or a witness to a crime does not have prior intent to perpetrate that crime or to facilitate its furnishing on the web. So that'll be the line, and if law enforcement has a case to make and can make that case to a jury and they agree, then we're going to end up convicting some folks. And it may not occur in every case, but we think that's the dividing line.
And in terms of coming up with a crime for people who do this, would it be equal to the attacker, the crime that the attacker would face? And the attacker in this instance, is he in jail or is he in juvenile hall? Where is this?
So you can speak to the status of it, but yeah.
Because they're a minor, I don't know all the situations, but I do believe one of the attackers will be facing criminal charges.
There's only one attacker.
There's one attacker that's facing criminal charges. The person that conspired with the attacker to tape this and put it onto social media
There's no crime.
with a bloodied and injured Jordan laying on the ground faces no charges. The attacker and the person that filmed it came to this position together. They were obviously coming to the attack together. They obviously talked about the attack together. They conspired together. And like my colleague said, this will be up to juries to decide if that intent and that motivation was there and the conspiracy charge fits the crime. But we want to make sure our local law enforcement has these tools to make sure they can pursue these type of charges and hopefully prosecute people that engage in this type of behavior.
And for you, young man, when you reflect on what happened, if you don't mind, what are your thoughts?
I'm just kind of like, you know, why almost? Like, I didn't know him, so why would he do this to me? Like, I'm not saying it should happen to anybody, but out of everybody, why would it happen to me?
Well, the kid who did it is a punk,
Yeah.
okay?
Great answer first.
What are you?
In the case of an innocent bystander filming, is this law going to address the fact if he posts on
Did you say,
social
what media outlet were you with?
I'm sorry?
Are you with the media outlet? Okay, well, we'll answer the question anyway. Basically, we made very clear, though, that anyone that's an innocent bystander, anyone that's just taping, whether it's a high-speed chase, whether it's a local robbery, whether it might be some unfortunate incident in a community that they want to record for whatever reason, if they're not conspiring with those committing the crime, if they didn't have any future or any previous knowledge of the crime that was going to occur, and like my colleague said, if there wasn't an intent there before they started taping to do so as part of a plan to commit the crime and then tape it to put on social media, this law would not affect them. We take freedom of speech very seriously, and we look forward to making sure we're working with that.
How long will it take before this hits the governor's desk, and what's the likelihood?
Well, we're in the very beginning of the legislative session. We just introduced the bill this past week. This will go to committee probably in the next month or so. Once it gets through the assembly side of it, it'll have to go to the Senate, and my colleague will champion it on that side. We're hoping that sometime in the late summer, early fall, it'll go to the governor's desk.
Okay, so perhaps even within the next 6 months or possibly beginning of next year, you're hoping that this becomes...
We are hoping that this bill is signed by the governor before the end of this calendar year, yes.
Noble effort, gentlemen.
Any other media questions? Well, we really appreciate everyone for being here today. Like I said, this is just step one in a long process to make sure we pass Jordan's Law. But really, without this law, there's still a lot of work to still be done. And we need to make sure that this is a community-engaged effort to not only talk to our students, talk to our young people about bullying, make sure that we're monitoring what's going on social media. As Ed said, social media can be used for a lot of great positive things in our community. And the technology that we all take advantage of every day to make our lives more efficient, to make our lives better, to connect with each other, can also be used for very bad purposes. And we want to make sure that this law is just one step in a bigger discussion to make sure that we're preventing bullying, we're preventing cyberbullying, and we're preventing the type of vicious attacks like we saw that happened to Jordan just a few blocks from here a couple months ago. With that, thank you so much.
Cool to be kind. There was someone who wanted to
Did you want to say a few words?
Organization?
We'll have a few words from Cool to Be Kind.
Mark.
Hi, my name is Emily Park. I'm president of Cool to Be Kind Club. I would just like to say, wow. In the past couple of months, since December and even summer, the Cool to Be Kind Club and Jordan Strong, our purpose has grown so much, and we wouldn't be able to do this without the community, so thank you. And also, I would like to say that this new law, Jordan's Law, is going to help not only Jordan, but I think this is going to help a lot of the people who fight the constant fight against bullying. So this is the first of many great steps, so thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Zachary Leo. I'm the other president of Cool to Be Kind. When I first came up with the idea of this club, I had a meeting with Mr. Hussey, and I asked him, how can I stand out from 4,000 students? And he told me to start a club. And in 5 seconds, I said, you know, what about anti-bullying? So he and I looked over the club list, and he said to me, that's not on the list. And his eyes kind of blew up. And that's when I knew I needed to start this club. And so immediately the night after that, I called all my friends. I said, listen, I'm starting this club. I want you guys to help me. And now that I'm standing here, I'm so honored to have all these friends of mine helping. And this club is for kids like Jordan and for anyone who's ever been a victim of bullying. So thank you.
With that, we'll wrap up the formal part of the press conference. Please check back with my website or with my staff for future developments on this law. And we look, Leo, one more question.
For Zachary, when you think about what happened to Jordan, does it frighten you kids that yesterday it was Jordan, tomorrow it could be anyone? I mean, do you really think about that when you're out and about?
The fact that this happened to Jordan and the fact that the person didn't know Jordan is just, it's unbelievable that this could have happened to anyone. And this club, even if it weren't Jordan, we would have still done the same thing for any other kid because it's just not right.
Thank you to the C2BK Club and to everyone that attended today. We look forward to, like I said, keeping you updated on this process. We'll have our first hearing, like I said, hopefully about a month. Check back on my website, on Senator Stern's website, check with my staff. But we really look forward to having this whole community engaged in this discussion to make sure we can pass Jordan's Law, prevent future tragedies. Thank you so much.